What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. It's your boy Joe coming back at you with another video. So as you can see, I'm back home now. I've been away at some relative stuff, relatives' houses for like last week and stuff. So apologize about not uploading every day. I'm trying to do that now. But I'm going to talk to you guys about how the UFC has changed not just the martial arts businesses, but pretty much changed people. It's no question that the UFC is one of the biggest martial arts companies or biggest MMA companies that there is. I mean, you have other stuff like you had Pride and Bellator and just these other things and stuff, and you have channels like Street Beefs out there that do MMA fights and whatnot. But how has the UFC in particular changed the world basically? So a lot of people beforehand, before UFC really came out, people mainly just focused on like boxing. Okay, stuff like Taekwondo and karate and Jiu-Jitsu and Krav Maga and Judo and all these things. They were there, but they weren't very popular. And if they were popular, they didn't go and like MMA wasn't a thing before the UFC. And when the UFC started, it was basically people just knew one style of martial art, and that was it. They didn't know like Taekwondo and boxing and Jiu-Jitsu and Judo and whatever in Muay Thai. But now that the UFC has been around, a lot of martial art academies or dojos or whatever, they're very popular. Like you can drive down the road here and see like a karate place like around the corner from my house, or you can go and you just see everything everywhere now. Like you ask someone, oh, what martial art do you take, and about half the time they'll say, oh, I do this martial art. It's become a lot more popular now to take martial arts now that the UFC has been around. And I posted a video earlier saying that MMA is not a martial art, and I stand by it. It's not a martial art, but you see MMA gyms now. Like you can drive down the road here in Raleigh, go to downtown Raleigh, and there's like I think 2 MMA gyms just in downtown Raleigh alone. That's not counting the surrounding towns around Raleigh. And even if you don't take martial art, people do know how to do like a standard armbar, or if you watch like street fights go on about like people like from the hood or whatever, they throw like leg kicks. MMA or the UFC in general has brought fighting to such a forefront thing in our society that now a lot of people know how to do different things than just sitting there and just throwing punches the whole time. Punches are still boxing in and of itself is still a very common thing to see in a street fight. People just throwing punches and not necessarily like doing takedowns or throwing kicks and whatnot. And the UFC has changed the world so much that now boxing is seen as a useless martial art, and it's really not. And yes, boxing, like I said before, boxing is a martial art. It's an American style martial art. It's not. It's just now that the UFC has become so popular, boxing is not enough. Like, if you get into an altercation with someone, yeah, you might be able to knock the guy out if he's just an average Joe Schmo out there. But, and I don't want to toot my own horn, but let's say that I get into a fight, me who is a instructor and a black belt in Taekwondo and has done wrestling and has done all these different things. If I get into a fight with someone who's never taken any sort of martial art, and just watched the UFC and all that, yeah, he might land some good hits on me, but ultimately I'm gonna win because I've trained for like 3 years now, and he hasn't trained at all. But before UFC came around, I wouldn't have taken any sort of martial art, and maybe, who knows, my instructor may not have even taken any martial art. But boxing now has become so to people, boxing now has become so useless because of the UFC. Because, like, for example, when Randy Couture took on James Toney was just a boxer, but he wanted to prove that boxing was enough, and Randy Couture proved to not just him but to a lot of people that if you're going to get in a fight, you want to have at least a good solid stand up and at least some ground game. But Who knows? So anyway, guys, UFC has changed the world a lot. It's changed how people think about fighting. It's changed how people see boxing and see other martial arts and stuff. And not just the UFC, but the UFC is the biggest thing. And I'm not the biggest fan of the UFC. I do like it. I like to see real martial artists, like actual martial artists, not these MMA fighters. I like to see people like Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, who was a Taekwondo black belt, or Lyoto Machida, who is a karate black belt, or Frank Mir, who's I don't know if he's a black belt in jiu-jitsu, but I know that he does jiu-jitsu. Actual martial artists who train in real martial arts, not just the MMA. I like to see them. But I also kind of don't like the UFC because of what Dana White has turned it into. He's turned it into a big payday because of the whole Reebok thing. If you guys don't know about that, go watch the Montage King MMA. He talks about Reebok and stuff, and I won't bore you with all the details about it, but anyway, so that's how the UFC has changed the world. It's changed it by showing that, if you have a good ground game, you go against like a boxer or something like that, you have a good chance. And it's brought martial arts to such an accepted thing in our community now, and honestly, it's proven that it's a good thing to have. So anyway, guys, thanks so much for tuning into this channel and watching this video. Leave a like if you guys like. Comment down below what you want to see me do next and talk about next. And if you guys agree with me, let me know. If you guys disagree with me on anything, let me know down there too. I'm open to discussion. And don't forget to subscribe for more content like this. I will be doing a Dallas Cowboys video next, so be on the lookout for that. Thanks so much. Have a wonderful day. God bless you all. Peace.